A very warm welcome to you and thank you for joining us on Health and Wellness. My name is Zaitun Ali and today I'm so excited that you made the time to tune in because the topic is amazing. Women, where you at? We want to talk about hormones and women's mental health. Joining me in studio, I have the amazing Fatma Mohammed. She is the founder of Wellness KE. Fatma is a second-time guest here. Previously, we talked about fibroids. Hey, it was an amazing show.
Amazing. Everyone loved it.
Yes.
And also I love the fact that we focus on something that really affects so many women.
Exactly.
So I really thank you for that.
I love how you're passionate about women's health.
Yes.
And women's reproductive health. Let me
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah.
I know you've been a victim of the same.
Yes.
And you have shared your stories and they have been impactful
Thank
and
you.
insightful. So today we would just want to know what hormones are and the role they play in women's life, because we know ladies out there, it's tough. It's tough. We know all those stages when you're menstruating, when you're pregnant, when you know.
Even after pregnancy, alafu menopause is waiting for you. It's
puberty.
like we don't get a break.
Hata nilisahau puberty.
I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's start from what are hormones?
Yeah, so hormones are basically chemical messengers, yeah? So your body actually makes hormones using glands, yeah? A gland is usually very tiny. An example of a gland is like your ovaries. Those are glands that make hormones like estrogen and progesterone. Another good example is like your thyroid. It makes your thyroid hormone. So glands normally make these hormones and they are chemicals that go into your bloodstream so that they can travel to certain parts of your body. Their function is just to basically tell that part of your body to perform its function. For instance, your ovaries can be able to make estrogen so that it can now go and tell the lining of your uterus to grow so that you can be able to have a pregnancy, or if you don't have a pregnancy, you can be able to shed it and menstruate. So basically that hormone is just like a chemical that sends that message to a certain part of your body. And it's very essential because hormones are going to now carry out many functions in your body. In order for you to have proper metabolism, you need hormones. In order for you to have even just body temperature, the right body temperature, your mood, which is what we're going to talk about, your hormones are essential in helping you with that. So everyone needs to understand that we all have hormones, men and women, but when it comes to us women, it's more cyclical. Because
Actually, you read my mind.
Yes.
I'm like, why? Why women? Why do we highlight women every single time?
But it's because we are affected the most. And also it's because it is cyclical in the sense that we go through several stages in our life, meaning that you can actually start from the stage of puberty, whereby that is when now you have menarche, meaning you're now introduced to menstruation. You're now becoming a woman. You're young, but then you are now developing into a woman. That comes with its own package. Then you also have menstruation, which is when now you are in your reproductive years, meaning you get to menstruate every month and it's possible for you to become pregnant. That also comes with its own hormonal fluctuations that can affect your mood. And let's not forget, if you decide to become pregnant, that also comes with its own hormonal fluctuations that can affect your mood. And let's not forget also the process of after pregnancy. We already know about postpartum, you know, because it really affects many women. That is a stage that can also come in with certain hormone fluctuations and affect you. And last but not least, it's the perimenopause phase and menopause phase. That also comes with hormonal fluctuations and it can affect your mental health. So if you can imagine, a woman has gone through all these stages all throughout her life. And so each stage comes with a certain package when it comes to hormone fluctuations. And when you don't understand what's really going on, you can really panic and think something is wrong with you, when really it's your body secreting these chemicals. Sometimes it's secreted too much, sometimes it's too low, and then you end up having, you know, mood swings and crashes.
Something constant that you've mentioned all through is mood.
Yes, because mood swings are real.
Yes.
Yeah.
How are they related now? How do they come up? Because even men, boys actually go through puberty, but the moods are not like women. So how are they associated together?
Yes, and how intense are they? Because
talk about like crying.
I know, the crying and the outburst. In fact, what we have to even think about, let's think about the onset of puberty, right?
Yes.
The fact that you are a young girl and if you can remember when you got your period. So maybe let's say that was at 11 years old or maybe 12 years old, whatever. When you hit puberty, this is when your body is is now saying you're becoming a young woman, right? So you're a young woman and now you're developing. You're going to develop breasts, hips. You're also going to be able to produce hormones like estrogen. This hormone is essential to give you now your feminine characteristics. So because you're now developing into a young woman, you're going to need to develop, and you will need estrogen in order for you to develop. Unfortunately, there are 3 hormones that are going to affect you during this phase when you hit puberty. So estrogen is important in this conversation, progesterone, and also testosterone. So these 3 hormones are going to fluctuate. And at times, because when you hit puberty, you need to you start menstruating, right? Because you start menstruating, estrogen and progesterone are important in order for you to start menstruating, because these are the 2 hormones that allow you to have menstruation. So estrogen now takes over during a certain phase, and when it takes over, it can be too high, because when it is too high, it causes anxiety. It causes that worry. That's why you sometimes feel more anxious than a male counterpart or your partner.
I think mine is high every day.
Anxiety, I don't even want
Actually, even as the show was starting, and I was telling you, I'm laughing here because I'm feeling anxious.
I know. You're thinking, and then I understood you because I know. And it's something that for men, they might struggle with understanding us, but it is not intentional, which is the biggest takeaway from this conversation. None of it is intentional. It's because there's a chemical that now is causing an imbalance. Estrogen can take over such that it rises. And when it rises, you're now more anxious. You're even irritable. You can get angry very quickly. And to be honest with you, even for me, when I have my menses, a simple thing like if I asked you for something and it delays, I can be so annoyed. But on normal days, I probably wouldn't have noticed it. Yes, and that's because I am not trying to be a mean person. There's something that's making me feel like harakisha. I just get it done.
Unanikasirisha.
Yes.
Nimesema nataka chocolate.
Mbona uleti? Kwa nini? And why are we still talking about this? And the problem is when you're now going through puberty as a young girl, these hormonal fluctuations are actually going to get you to that place. So you find that even for parents who have teenage daughters, they'll find that maybe she's more moody at this time, or maybe she's angry, or maybe they're not even able to communicate well because the hormone fluctuations are now causing that. So when estrogen and progesterone actually are now coming into now the young woman's body and being secreted, the imbalances can actually cause that. And let's not forget, I've mentioned the hormone testosterone. It's a vital hormone because it is a hormone that is more dominant in men, but it also exists in us women.
Oh, it does?
It does, yeah. And we need it because testosterone is actually the hormone that makes all your estrogen. So as a woman, you need your testosterone so that you can make estrogen, because we don't necessarily make estrogen. So even as you hit puberty, testosterone levels are important so that you know what levels of estrogen you will have. Because if, let's say, for instance, maybe your daughter has hit puberty, maybe they are overweight, they don't have proper diet, maybe they're already struggling with stress, this is also going to affect her levels of testosterone. If she has too much of it, she might produce also too much estrogen, because it's the testosterone that makes your estrogen. When you have too much estrogen, you can be more anxious, you can be more irritable, angrier, and also even more depressive, right? So this is something that we have to focus on when we are thinking about that puberty phase. These 3 hormones are actually very essential.
But now, what actually maintains the, let me call it, quality control, you know?
Yes, of having the proper balance. Yes. When you are in that phase of puberty, the proper balance will come from, number 1, from your diet. Because we have to understand that even right now, the younger generation is not necessarily eating a healthier diet as we were before, as what we were eating before. And it is happening in such a way that we are even noticing younger girls going into menopause, going into menstruation very early. Because before it used to be maybe 13 years old, 14, 12, and now we have girls who are as young as 9 years old, even 8, because we actually carried out as Wellness KE just a survey on some school girls, and we wanted to know, like, if they're struggling with menstrual issues, if they're struggling with issues to do with PMS when they hit puberty. And so we asked, what age were you when you got your period? some were 8, others were 9.
Yeah.
So, which is shocking. It tells you that now girls are much, much younger, hitting puberty at a younger rate. And it's also because of lifestyle. You know, when you think about it, they are, you know, there's not much activity that is included in their day. Also, the diet is not that proper, it's not that healthy. And also a lifestyle of stress. I do feel like they are exposed to a lot more stress, social media, and all that. That really affects their hormone health. And to be honest with you, if you were to maybe, let's say, take a hormone test right now, where you are seated, you're calm, your readings will actually be really good. And then you'll find that maybe, let's say, you go through traffic or you receive some shocking news or whatever, and you take the same test and you'll find that your hormones have actually already fluctuated. That is how sensitive our hormones are. It means that I can leave this place with my cortisol levels okay, and then I can actually go outside there and something can happen and can trigger and have an offset. And we have to understand that hormones work together. So even sex hormones, like the hormones that allow you to have your period, to be fertile and all that, these hormones also work together with your stress hormones. Like cortisol is a good example. It is a stress hormone that your body uses so that it can protect you from stress. So if, let's say, you were to receive shocking news, or if even you exercise, it's still a form of stress that your body is taking it in as a form of stress. But when you have high levels of it, it can offset your insulin levels, it can offset your testosterone levels. And remember, testosterone is what makes your estrogen. So this is how women end up with issues like PCOS, cysts, or their menses disappear.
Because of stress?
Can you imagine?
That's the only hormone that is overworking, because I know stress is a common factor.
And it is so hard to control it. Because you know, you can control yourself, but you can't control your environment, right? Because you can be able to say, okay, I'll wake up in the morning, I'll meditate, I'll take care of myself and my environment. And then as soon as you go out there, maybe you have an employer that's giving you a hard time, or maybe it's a partner, or maybe it's traffic, whatever it is, it's still going to trigger you. Finances. And so you see, because of that, it ends up affecting you and your hormones. And so it is important for us to understand, like, our hormones will be affected by, it's not just about our sex hormones, it is also about other hormones, because they work together. That is why it is called the endocrine system, because it is a system where it's like a web, whereby your sex hormones that allow you to become pregnant work with the hormones that also trigger hunger, also work with the hormones that allow you to sleep well, and so forth.
And talking about that one that triggers hunger at puberty, as we are on this stage, and these young adults really have appetite.
Yes.
So how does that come about during this period?
Okay, so because this is a stage of development, the body is now developing and growing. So you're going to need more in order for you to be able to grow. Basically, think about it as it's like a plant that you've just, it is now starting to grow, and you want it to come to fruition and become, I don't know, a full-blown, you know, maybe tree, for instance. So you have to think about it in that way, because the hormones are what affect your hunger cycle, your satiety, whereby when you eat, you can signal that you're full. And age plays a very big factor. So, for instance, if you are young, you're going to need more what you're going to eat, more to eat, in order for you to sustain your body, in order for you to develop, to grow, in order for your body to function properly, because you're still now growing into your own body, so that you can now become a fully formed adult, and you're not growing, you know, any further. But if you are much older, your metabolism is much slower, so you might not need that much. And then also, when you are younger, your metabolism is much faster. You use up more energy quickly. You're less fatigued. Your body is functioning properly, and so because of that, your hormones really do play a role when it comes to that. So it's not also intentional that they want to eat more or whatever. It is because also their hormones are signaling that they need to consume more, because your muscles are saying, like, feed us so that we can grow and develop. Okay,
that makes sense. And as we move to the next stage, you had mentioned the survey that you did as Wellness KE for these young girls. What were some of the challenges that they go through, especially during this time for PMS, you know,
Oh,
this
gosh.
stage? What are the challenges?
We found out the first one was most of the young girls are now dealing with a lot of issues like painful periods. And also some of them have issues like irregular period, whereby they tell you, I started my period today, and then tomorrow I don't get to see it. On the third day I see it, and then like that. And then some of them also don't get their period every month. It's like it comes maybe in January, and then February she misses a period. The next March she misses a period, then the next one she gets her period. So it is very irregular, and when they do get their period, it's very painful and very heavy. That was like the biggest takeaway, because the reason why we carried it out is because we wanted to make sure that young girls can be able to understand the importance of hormone health before they get to their reproductive age. Because when you understand what your hormones are doing to your body, you can be able to understand why we are insisting, like, eat more vegetables, hydrate, move your body. Because when you're young, it feels like someone is just forcing you to do these things, but you don't understand why.
I know.
But now once you once we did that survey, we even visited the school and talked to the girls, and when they understood, it made more sense to them. They were even interested. They started getting like water bottles to drink more water and things like that, because they understood like issues that like the painful periods and heavy periods were coming about because of hormone. Yes, and because of their hormones were imbalanced. And so when we found out, we did further investigation, we found out the diet was very poor. Most of them also are going through a period of stress because they have exams, they have to perform. They're also trying to become, you know, to form their own identity, to become themselves.
The best version of you
themselves.
at that point.
There's so much pressure, and then they always feel like removed from society because people don't understand them. And so mentally it does a lot.
And even period shame is a thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
And then now you are this young girl who is now realizing, okay, now at some point I've become kind of a woman, but then I'm not that grown. People are still making decisions for me, but then they also expect me to be responsible. Which is which? Like, I'm still trying to find my way. But the best part about it is I loved the fact that they received the information that we had to share, and they were ready to make the changes. Yes, and there are some who still reach out till to this day on the platform to say like they have made changes, they have taken care of their health, they're eating healthier. And also during the period especially, because you know, most of the times when they would get like heavy periods or painful periods, it was more like a thing that they talk to each other as friends, but they don't have a solution, right? So you know, we managed to share a lot, like the importance of, during that time, avoid the deep fried foods, avoid the heavy high sugar foods. Try your best to eat more of the greens, even though at school you might find that these foods may not be readily available. That is also a conversation to have with your school. Even as a parent, you should be able to say like, why is it that my child, when they're in school, they're not able to have a proper, you know, healthier diet, and it's affecting them? Because to be honest with you, these young girls are the ones who end up now having the fibroids when they hit 2021. When they hit 20 years old, you find that when they have an ultrasound, they find out that they have fibroids. And to be honest with you, our youngest client is actually 16 with fibroids. There's a client I have who is like about 21, and she has endometriosis. And so they are shocked, because when you talk to them, they'll tell you, yeah, when I was in high school, my period was so heavy, I used to pass out, or maybe the matron used to give me these pills. That's the only way I used to be able to go through my period. So when you go through and trace, you find out that there were signs from way before. But if maybe, let's say, someone was there to say, hey, you know, instead of you eating this or doing this, make these changes so that once you hit this age, you don't end up being susceptible to these complications.
And even aside from that, as we were talking about the periods, the period shame, in terms of mental health for these young girls, you know, there's a time you don't even you don't know how your body is functioning. You just walk, you see you're developing breasts,
It's new,
you're hippie, people are noticing, you're afraid of it, you're trying to cover it
yourself
up. So what kind of advice do you tell these young ladies?
Yes, the first thing is you have to understand that this is not a period of shame. This is a period of you becoming a woman, and it is something that you should be able to embrace, because even every woman has gone through it. Every single one of us has gone through it. And I think it will be up to us to do our due diligence to always share with the younger girls and let them know our story. Because I always share mine, how I was when I was in school, the first time I got my period, my class teacher who helped me, and how it was, and I'll never
Yours
forget.
came when you're in school?
Yes, I was in
Oh.
class, and the teacher actually is the one who handled it, and she was so sweet, and she managed to help me, and she even gave me advice. And then after that, she told me, like, when you get home, I know your mom is going to explain to you more.
Yeah.
And then my mom did such a good job because she explained to me what I'm supposed to do, and she gave me like a whole talk, you know. But here's the thing, during that time I was scared, you know, because I'm like, what is this new thing? Because you're being told now you can become pregnant, and now you can do this, and then you're like, why?
Stay away from boys.
Yes,
Stay away from
but
boys.
even if you know, it's still something that is shocking to you.
I know.
Because one minute you were playing with your classmates,
Exactly.
boys and girls, the next minute now you're being told you sit kando, you even dress differently because your clothes shouldn't be too tight, and all that is mentally
I
so
know.
draining.
For me, I think the most awkward of it
Yeah.
all was just finding a bra.
I know.
I was like, no, who is wearing
I
one?
know. And you're in school.
What size? Imagine even finding the right size. Because I was that small girl,
Yes.
but now you can't even understand. Imagine I had to start it when I went to high school because
Yeah.
it was a requirement.
Oh.
When you're being admitted. So,
Lazima. Yeah.
lazima. Uko like, sijui boob top. No, my sisters wanakwambia, tafuta boob top
I know.
kwanza. Anza nayo.
Okay,
Unashanga
no.
aje.
It's like a training to the bra.
my
Yeah, because
God,
the
but
bra
then
felt like it was
mentally,
such a... It was a lot.
It was a lot.
I know. And I
It was
know
a lot.
everyone at home who is watching us, they feel the
Exactly.
same way because they have gone through the same
And
thing.
the parents, even to these young
Yes.
teenagers.
They
yeah.
need to give them all the support and also understand that they are trying their best. If there's something that I'm very passionate about,
Yeah.
is talking to young people, because I know it's very hard to fix an adult, but it's easy to fix someone who's still young.
Mmesikia.
Yeah.
Mmesikia Fatma. You know, she's very available to come and speak to these young women out there. She's always passionate about women's reproductive health. And even after the break, we're coming back with more about the different stages a woman goes through and how the hormones now come to affect or come to benefit you at some point. And we'll just see what are some of the homemade remedies that we can try to just create a balance, you know? So don't go too far. This is Health and Wellness. We're coming right back.